Hey everybody, hope that you're doing well. It's Friday. I thought I'd just share a quick devotional thought. Um, One of the readings that I've been in back a little while ago is in the feeding of the 5,000, and there was a little curious line that jumped out in my translation. I'm reading in the old 78. But as the disciples are trying to figure out how we're going to feed this massive crowd, Jesus says, "You go feed them. You have power." He had just sent the 72 out, by the way, to go and do miracles and heal people. And so I love that they had power, and he's like, "You feed them." And they're like, "Well, we can't do that." So Jesus takes the fish and he takes the bread and he breaks it and he makes more. He gives that to the disciples, and they then, some translations will say distribute, but mine says set before the people. I love that. They didn't cram it into their mouths and say, "Here, eat." They set it before them. And the people who were there, the people who were hungry, who had come to hear Jesus, were satisfied, completely satisfied. Now, I think about our day and age today where the headlines scream out all kinds of things that make me very concerned for American culture and for people who are being hurt by the culture that exists. It's very antagonistic to what Jesus said is truth. And so we can get angry and we can get frustrated and we can become aggressive and even evil at times. I can feel it in my own heart when I want to fight with other people. I'm reading today in Luke chapter 9 about how Jesus deals with some opposition to him. He's going to go to a Samaritan village, and he is resolutely going to Jerusalem. He's going to Jerusalem. And so he sends messengers on ahead to say that Jesus, the teacher, is coming. And the people in the village don't want him. They know that he's going to Jerusalem. Samaritans, Jews, that's that whole thing. And so James and John are with him, and James and John ask Jesus, "Do you want us to call fire down on heaven like Elijah did?" Because remember, they had tasted some of the power. They had the ability to heal. God had temporarily given them that. And they're like, should we burn them? And Jesus rebukes them. It's interesting that the translation that I have, it says, "But Jesus turned and rebuked them, and they went to another village." But there's a subnote there, a B, and it reads this way. Some manuscripts will say this, "And he said, 'You do not know what kind of spirit you are of, for the Son of Man did not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them.'" And so he rebukes his guys who are like, "Should we stand up for you? They don't get it. They're just wrong." And Jesus doesn't rebuke the Samaritans. He moves on to another village, but he rebukes the disciples for their heart. He said, "This is not of the Spirit of God." The kingdom of God is what we're about. And so as I'm reading through this today, the application for me is to be very careful about how I read the headlines and how I respond to especially the leaders, whether it's politics or the culture wars, things that go against Christianity. I have a tendency to want to fight with and argue with the leaders of these groups. That's foolishness. That's not going to the people who are hungry. They're not hungry. They're filled up on something else. But for me to pay attention to and to go and serve the people who are hurting, the people who need the kingdom of God. And when you think kingdom of God, think preach the Sermon on the Mount. Read Matthew 5, 6, and 7 to people. Wrestle with what it means to be like Jesus and to live like Jesus and to share Jesus with other people. That's much more the Spirit of God. And I have to fight that other spirit that says, "Should I call down fire on these people?" No. Jesus says, move on. Go and serve the people who are hungry. Set my word before them, and they will be completely satisfied. Devotional thought for your Friday. Hope it helps. And God's blessings. We'll talk to you again sometime.